Hello friends, today in this live stream we will basically modify the application that we developed inside our last live stream, the same live stream that we did for React Context API. So we will slightly modify the code and we will change it, and basically we will implement the basic functionality of the CRUD functionality. You will see we are using the React Bootstrap package, and we are displaying, we have two fields out there, name and age. Similarly, we have did it in the last video as well. So this time we will be implementing the Redux toolkit in order to create this CRUD functionality where we can create the record, read it, update it and delete it. Let me basically enter a name here, age, and then we click this button, add user. You will see as I click this button, our ID, name, age, edit user and delete user is added. Let me add one other name here and add the age here. So you will see automatically whenever I click the add user button, automatically this list will be updated and the age changes will be reflected back. You can see that. So now we can even delete the users as well. So if I click the delete button, your users will be deleted. And also we have this edit user functionality. So if you just click this button, all the results will be auto populated inside the fields. Now you can change the name. Click on update user, you will see the name has been changed. Similarly, if you want to change the age here, let's suppose you can change it. You can see that. So we will be doing the same functionality, guys. This is the same project that we developed in the last video stream. I have given in the I button. You can simply check it, or we can go to the description of this live stream. So if you haven't checked out the previous video where I implemented the same functionality using React Context API, you can basically watch that before. And here inside this video, I will take the same project where we did in the last live stream. I will slightly modify to implement it using Redux toolkit. So let's start building this project, guys, from scratch. So if you don't know about Redux, guys, basically it's an alternative for React Context API. If you want to manage your state inside your application, it's an external library, Redux. It is not specifically used in React.js applications, but it can be used in any JavaScript framework. It can be used in Angular, Vue.js, vanilla JavaScript, any sort of framework that you want to use. So this is basically its official website, reduxtoolkit.org. And let me show you the packages we will be using in this tutorial. So we will be using the React Bootstrap package. Basically, it's a package for using Bootstrap inside your React application. This is basically the package. 1 million downloads will be there. And also, guys, we will use this package React Redux. So this is basically the package, guys, for specifically using Redux inside your React.js application. So 6 million downloads are there. And also we will be using the Redux package as well. This is also necessary. So this is, you can see it's a very popular library. 8 million downloads are there. So now I will simply now stop this server and I will create a new directory, guys, and basically this directory will hold the previous code that we created. So let me go to my directory and make a new directory. Let's suppose I call this as CRUD Redux. I cd into this and I basically get my code, so React Context API. So basically if I open this inside my Visual Studio Code text editor, so basically this was the previous tutorial project, guys. Let me install the dependencies. So we are also using Vite, guys. Basically it's a module bundler. In the title of the live stream you have seen that. Basically it's an alternative to Browserify Webpack, so it makes the configuration very much easy. So it's a next generation front-end tooling, so you can use it with any framework, Vue.js, Angular, React.js, or also vanilla JavaScript. So it makes the build process a lot faster. So now we can simply start our server. So localhost 5173. So if you see, this was the last tutorial that we built using the React Context API. So the functionality was the same. We enter the age. You will see that the functionality remains the same, but we were implementing the context API. So this was the functionality. You will see that we can delete, update, create users and display users. So now we will try to basically install, first of all guys, inside this you will see that inside your package.json file we have this React Bootstrap already installed, and we also need basically uh, the Bootstrap library as well here. So npm I Bootstrap, and we will also need guys React, Redux and also Redux. So these three packages you need to install guys: Bootstrap, React, Redux and Redux. So just simply install these packages. So once it is installed, it will be added inside this dependencies section right here. So Bootstrap is already installed. You will see I have just written. So it will just install these packages guys. You will see that now it is added: React Redux 8.0.5 and Redux, which is 4.2.1. So this is the latest version at the time of recording this video. So now guys, first of all, as you know, inside Redux, this is not an introductory video guys, I am building out a project. So first of all, I will simply create a new folder. For creating Redux applications, you basically need to create a folder where you will hold your global state. You can call this folder anything. I will call this as CRUD folder, CRUD. And here wise, first of all, we will create our store, CRUD store.js. So naming functionality, you can do it by yourself. CRUD store, I am calling this, it's a simple JavaScript file. And basically guys, here first of all, we will create our store, export const, and here it contains basically create store method guys. We can import this method create store from our library that we installed, which is Redux, and here we can use this method guys, which is create store, and here we need to pass our reducer function guys. So now we need to define this reducer function. So we will create a new file here which will called as CRUD reducer.js. So right here guys, reducer basically it's a function which basically takes two parameters. First is the action and secondly it takes as the payload. So payload refers to the data that is have. It's a simple function. So export const, and basically it's a reducer function. So for this, first of all, we need to define our initial state. So initial state guys, basically it's an object which will actually contain you can basically contain any data for your application. For this specific application, we will have a users array guys. This will be empty by default. So whenever you load your application, this array will be empty. You can even take this data from a database as well, but for the sake of this application, we are having this empty array, that's all. And now we will basically have this function guys, which will be CRUD reducer, and this will be a function guys, arrow function. It takes two values. I already told you. It takes the state parameter. First of all, we will initialize it to the initial state. So the state will automatically get called here whenever you call the reducer function. We don't need to pass the state. And then basically guys, we will have the second parameter, which will be action. So whatever action that you need to perform. So here, as you all know, we will have a switch statement, and inside this we will compare the type property that will be passed here. So inside the switch statement guys, we will basically have various cases. So now we need to create a new file guys, which will be called as CRUD types.js. This is basically the boilerplate code guys that you need to configure for every Redux application that you create. CRUD types.js. So here you will basically have all the actions that you will create. Let's suppose for this application we need to add a user. So we will define all the constants here with all the capital letters and remove underscore user like this. This totally depends upon you how you do this. So I am doing like this: update underscore user, update underscore user. So we have defined, you can see all the operations that you want to perform. These are all the actions: add user, remove user, update user. You can see that. So now we have successfully defined in a separate file. We are exporting this. Now we can include this simply inside your reducer file. We can put a case here and then we can say add user. it will automatically get imported from the CRUD types file here. We have exported that. And then inside colon, guys, we will simply say right here, we need to return the state here for this. So now we need to define the logic, guys. So whenever you add a user, guys, the logic is pretty simple. Whenever you are adding a user, we need to simply copy the state here by the spread operator, dot dot dot, and state. So whatever is the state here, you will see initial state is passed here, dot 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 state. And after this, we have the users property present right here. This needs to be the same here, users. And here we need to basically add the users here. So inside square brackets, we will again copy all the users that are already present, state.users, and then we will add the payload. So this basically contains two properties. I already told you guys. First is the type and second is the payload. Payload is actually the data which is passed to this reducer function. So action.payload. So this time this action.payload will be a simple user object which will contain three properties: ID, name, and age. Currently this is an empty object. We will have three properties: name, and then we will have age, something like this. Age will be number, and ID will also be unique every time when you generate this. So we will pass it dynamically. So this will be an empty here. So this will be an object. That's all. So this is our add user operation, guys. And similarly, we will have the second case, guys, for removing the user. And here we will simply again return the state here. So now, guys, for doing this, it's very simple. Again, we will copy the state. And then we will again say users. And now for deleting the users, guys, it's very simple. This is basically the logic that you need to write, state.users. And here we will basically call the filter method, guys, because this is an array here that you can see. This is an empty array here. So in array we have this all these ES6 methods, which is filter. One such method, it's filter here. This is useful whenever you want to delete any sort of element. So we will loop through all the users, guys. You will see u, and we will basically have a condition that u.id is not equal to the action.payload. So this time the action.payload, guys, will be the ID of the user that we want to delete. This time this will not be an object. This will be a simple ID which will be passed here. That's all. This is all the logic that you need to write. So now we have two cases, guys, which is add user. We are basically adding it to the users array, and then we have the remove user. Basically it is removing the actual user from the array. Now we can even have a default case, guys, like this default, and this time we simply need to return the state here. In this we will simply say return the state. That's all. So here, guys, we will only return the state here. This will be inside curly brackets. We will simply return the state. That's all. So that's all that you need to do, guys. Update user, we will do it later on. So now we have add user, remove user, having it. Now we are exporting this. You will see reducer function. Now we simply need to basically, guys, pass this inside our store. So this store basically takes the reducer function. So we will basically import this reducer function, pass it to this. That's all. So now your store is ready, guys. Now we can simply go to app.jsx, and right here, instead of doing this, we will delete this. So we will basically delete this line, and this time we will import the provider, guys. Provider, basically we will take this from React Redux. Similarly, early on you will see basically we were having this React Context API, which is user provider. Now we will basically have this provider, which comes from this library that we installed, which is React Redux. Now we simply need to surround this, guys, which is basically provider. We need to basically close this provider. And now, as you all know, guys, basically this takes a store property, store attribute, store props. So here we need to actually pass the store that we created, CRUD store. So you will see it will automatically gets imported from this line, and we will pass it like this. That's all. So that's all the configuration setup, guys. Now we can use all the state that we define inside our reducer file. This is our initial state. We can basically use in all the components that we are wrapping right here. This is a single component. You can have multiple components right here. So inside we are calling this users component users.jsx. In the last live stream also we created this form element. You will see that basically we have a simple table where we are looping through all that stuff. So I will not be explaining all that stuff. You can watch my previous video. So we just need to make some changes, guys, here. Instead of use context, I will delete this. We need to get the state here. And now for getting the state, guys, using Redux, basically we will use a hook which is provided. We will basically get the state here like this. We will get the users. We will use destructuring, and we will use the useSelector hook, guys. This will automatically gets imported from React Redux. You will see that useSelector. And how to get the state, guys? It's very simple. It will return the state right here inside this function, return state. That's all. So inside the state, guys, you will see we have a single property which is a users empty array. So we are destructuring it. If you see, we are destructuring it. So now we have got the users here like this. So now we simply need to make this, we are looping through the users, guys. If you see, we are using the map operator. So we are printing out the name and the age. We can even add the ID as well, let's suppose. So we can even print out the ID as well. And we can also add this key parameter as well to u.id. And td, this will be the ID of the user. So inside curly brackets, we can basically print out the ID of the user, u.id. So you will see we are printing out the details here, and we have two buttons out there for editing the user and deleting the user. So here, guys, we also need to have the methods here. For one file we are missing here. This basically it's an action file. So we have CRUD actions.js. So just define this file, guys, CRUD action.js. So this will contain basically the actions method, guys. So let's suppose we want to add a user. This will be all the methods. This will also be a method here. So here from this method, guys, we will return two properties. First will be the type property. So this will be equal to the add user that we defined right here at the top inside CRUD types, and put a comma, and it takes the second attribute as payload. So payload basically, guys, it will take this as an argument. So we will pass a user here, and we will equal to user like this. So we have defined a action here, guys, which will actually call the reducer function that we define inside this one. It will call the reducer function. It will pass the type parameter here that we defined right here, guys. If you see, we have defined the type parameter to add underscore user. So inside CRUD types.js, if you see, this is equal to add underscore user. So it will basically do this, and it will manipulate the state here. And here we are passing this payload property. If you see, we are passing it the user object. So this action we will basically call inside our users.js. We will use the useDispatch hook for having this. So this is all interrelated to each other. So similarly, we will define the second action, guys, which will actually remove user. Similarly, and here we will basically pass the ID of the user that you need to delete. So it's very easy, guys. Again, we will return these two properties. This time the type will be removing the user, and this time the payload will be the ID of the user. That's all. You will see we have defined two actions for adding user, for removing user. Now we can basically use these actions inside our users.jsx. So right here we will basically use the dispatch hook. We will say use dispatch. So again, this will be imported here from React Redux. We can delete this user context here like this. We no longer need the use context hook. So after this, guys, now we can simply use this dispatch function. So you can see inside add user, instead of add user we can say dispatch, and inside this we can basically call the action here add user. Let me see inside CRUD action. If you see, we have defined this action here, which is add user. So now we can simply say add user. So this will automatically gets imported, guys, from the CRUD action file. You will see add user. And here we will basically pass the payload, which is a user object that we create right here. It will contain three properties: ID, name, and age. ID will be, you will see it is generated through date.now, and name and age property. So we are dispatching this here, guys. So this will actually call this method here, which will be add user. It will pass this user object. You will see we are passing this user object here. It will again call this reducer function. It will manipulate the state here and it will return this state inside our this variable, which is users, and it will automatically refresh the state. React will automatically re-render the component for us. So if you now refresh your application, guys, your application must now work the same way. I just need to start my server. So I will say npm run dev. So again it is started. So if I basically enter the name, guys, click on add user. Let me see. Invalid hook call. Hooks can also be called inside the body of a function component. This could happen for the invalid hook call. Let me see, guys, what is basically the problem here. Dispatch. Oh, sorry, this needs to be a hook, guys. Sorry, this needs to be a hook. I am missing the parentheses. That's why this was the error. Again, if you refresh, guys, if you enter the name, you will see now automatically the ID has been generated. The name is added here, 56. You can now add users here like this. So now this is working, guys. You will see that. So now we are implemented is using this Redux here. So add operation is perfectly working fine. Now we need to handle the delete user. So whenever I click the delete button, guys, so this is very easy. So wherever we have basically binded this delete function, so you can see we are providing the u.id. Instead of doing this, we need to say again dispatch. And here, guys, we will use the delete user action. We will say delete. We have defined remove user, and again we will pass u.id. So remove user, guys, basically we are calling this function that we created, you remove user. We are passing the id. You will see that u.id. So again this is imported from the CRUD action file. And now if you again refresh, guys, click on delete, you will see your user has been successfully deleted. So now our add operation, delete operation is perfectly working fine, guys. Now we are basically having the update operation. So whenever we click the update button, guys, you will see automatically these details will be pre-filled right here. So whenever I try to update, it is not working. You will see. Now to work this, we need to add our action file. First of all, we will say export const and we will simply say update user. And this time also, guys, it will take three properties. First will be ID, name, age, and it will have three properties we will pass here, and then it will again return an object, guys. So it will again contains two properties. Type will be here update user, and then we will basically payload, and this will be a simple object. We will pass it. So this will be ID, name, and age. You can even pass object as well, guys, inside payload. It can be string, number, object, array, anything. You can pass multiple things as well. You can see we are passing it. So now we simply need to basically write the reducer function, guys. We need to add a case for this. So we will say case update user, and here we will just need to write the simple logic, guys. So we will again do the same thing, dot 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 spread operator state. And here we just need to define this condition, guys. Here we will basically find the user which is affected. For this we will again use the E6 methods. This time we will use the map operator. So every time we will loop through for every user. we will basically compare if the user ID passed is equal to the ID which is passed here, then in that case we just need to update the user. So we will copy all the details of the user using map operator, then we will replace name and age, and then colon user. So this basically it's a ternary operator. If you have known in the past guys in programming, question mark and colon, this is a ternary operator. It is just comparing all the users here, their ID. If the ID is equal to the ID which is passed here, then we are simply replacing the details of the updated user. If it is not equal to, then we are simply returning the user here like this. So all these details guys, if you see right here, we just need to basically destructure it from the payload. So we can simply say ID, name, age. We can destructure it as this is an object here that we are passing action.payload. It's a object that we are passing. So these three properties we can destructure it simply by using this phenomena of destructuring ID, name and age. That's all. So now your application is completed guys. So very swiftly, very easily we have converted this to a Redux application from context API. If I now basically change the name here, click on update user, and for this guys we also need to go to our users.jsx. So inside wherever we are calling update user, we just need to change it to dispatch and again call update user and pass these three things which we are passing, which is the ID, name and age. That's all. So update user will also get imported guys. It will call this method update user. We will pass three properties here, ID, name and age. So again, if you now refresh guys, click on that, put that, you will see that. So add user is operation, delete is also working. If I try to update now the name, click on update, you will see the name is updated. If I want to basically change the age here to, you will see it is working. If I change both the details, you can see it is working. So in this way guys, basically this is a CRUD operation that we built, CRUD project we built using React Redux Toolkit. So thank you very much guys. All the source code will be given in the description of the video. So you can get all the source code of this project in the description of this live stream. So thank you very much guys for watching this video, and I will be seeing you in the next live stream. Until then, thank you very much.